our job as cheesemakers is to tell the cheese what we want it to do. So the first step to making a premium burrata is starting off with quality ingredients. Okay, so once the curd is made, we actually slice it very thinly, and the reason for that is so that we can get the most surface area for the curd. So that way the water can heat it up as evenly as possible. Okay, so once we have our thin slices, we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of salt, not too much, as most of this will get left in the water anyways. And then we're gonna go ahead and break it apart with our hands. And actually the way that I was taught, which was the easiest way, was from my grandpa, and it was this way right here. It looks like I'm being very abusive to the cheese, but I'm actually being very soft. My fingers are relaxed while I'm going around the bowl, and that allows them to, again, break along their old fault lines. So once I get this done, and I'm actually pretty satisfied with this, I'm not looking for conformity, I'm just looking for a general size that they're all the same. So once I get this, I'm gonna go ahead and add my hot water. So I'm just gonna slowly add water just the way our machines do here. And then once I see that they are slowly getting coated and you can actually start to see the process of the curd becoming a little bit more elastic and it's starting to want to stretch a little bit, not too much. Then once I see that, I can go ahead and add some more water. And this is the part that I notice a lot of people mess up, is that they start mixing it right away. You have to give it a second to sit and accommodate itself. That's the whole point of the surface area to the cheese. The water coats the cheese evenly and it gives an even pressure of heat. So what ends up happening is the physical reaction that occurs causes the cheese to kind of like, the way we always thought of it was it breaks apart. So if I just pick this cheese up, and you guys can see in there all of the fibers and all the protein chains, they're kind of going everywhere. There's no real direction. If I were to set this towards the light, you could see that it's just one thin film and you can kind of see the fibers going in every which way. Now my job as a cheesemaker is to, as gently as I can, bring those fibers and those protein chains into one direction. So whereas they're all just mangled around, I want them to become interlocked, and that's where we're gonna get the stretchability from and the flexibility. So once I see that the cheese is ready, and again, like I said, there was not much work that needed because the surface area was already there, now I can start the forming process. And this is very simply just the kneading of the dough, as if you were making a pizza. So now, once I get this kneading going, I feel pretty confident that that's cooked all the way through. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and work this into my strachatella roll, is what we call it. So we're just gonna slowly, like I mentioned before, slowly guide this to the shape and strands that I want. And now you guys can start to see, if I were to open this up, you guys can start to see the fibers are now all going in one direction, which is this way here. And if I open this up further, you can further see the exaggeration of those lines. So that's what we're looking for. That's what gives us the elasticity. So now once we end up with our strands, as we saw in the plant, these will then get sent to cold water, and it's basically locking in that structure. So once the structure's been locked in, at this point we're set and we're golden. So once we have our mozzarella ready for the stracciatella process, it's as simple as just ripping it apart. And this is the way we do it in-house. It's just fold in half and cut, fold in half and cut, and eventually you end up with what we want as stracciatella. So once we have our shreds and we're happy with them, then they get added to the mascarpone. Okay, so mascarpone is basically the cream that's removed from the milk when the milk is decreamed for either skim milk, part skim milk, or for the process of making a grana or parmigiano where you have to remove the fat from the milk. Okay, so once we've put the mozzarella and the panna together, what we've ended up with is our stracciatella. And as you can see, it's very oozy. You have all the stretches of the curd in there. It's not too puddly. One of the reasons why most of our cheeses are made by hand is because, especially when you're working with an all-natural cheese that does not have stabilizers or any type of additives to it, is that you only have about 2 to 3 minutes from when the water touches the curd to stretch it and put it in the cold water. As I'm cutting this, I'm already preparing myself to go through the motions of adding the hot water, and then once the water touches, I know that I have a finite amount of time. So once I'm ready, and I think this should be definitely enough, we'll go through the process the exact same way that we did for the stracciatella. And again, I'm just gonna start breaking it up to get as much surface area as I can. And then we can go ahead and add our water on there. So again, we have to add the water very slowly. So once I have my curd ready to go, I'm gonna actually open it up. That's where I'm gonna add my stracciatella. I'm gonna go for about 4 ounces. And then I'm gonna go ahead and seal it just like I would a pouch. So this just comes across. It's a very simple 1, 2, and then it comes under. And this is where the seal is made. So once I have this, and then it goes into the water. And I wouldn't be able to have all this if it wasn't for knowing that the cows are being fed properly and I didn't have to add any type of additive to it. And this is what we like to do, is work with these types of fresh products.